Taylor Swift got Kanye West banned from the Super Bowl, and here is why we know it's true. Ex-NFL player says Taylor Swift got Kanye West kicked out of the stadium at the Super Bowl after he bought tickets directly in front of her VIP suite to steal the limelight. Swift is said to have, quote, made a call to have Kanye booted out after he intentionally bought seats at Las Vegas's Allegiant Stadium that were right in front of hers. The anti-hero singer, who cheered her boyfriend Travis Kelce and the Kansas City Chiefs to victory, was in a VIP box with celebrity pals Blake Lively, Ice Spice, and Lana Del Rey, as well as Travis's family. Brandon Marshall, a retired NFL wide receiver, suggested that Kanye was strategically placing himself in front of Taylor to photobomb any footage of her during the game's broadcast. Kanye was trying to leverage her celebrity, Marshall said, so Taylor Swift gets mad. She boom 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 makes a call or two, everyone's involved, and then he gets kicked out of the stadium. It's unclear where Marshall got any of his information from, and there is really nothing to suggest any truth in his allegations, but the former NFLer did also initially confuse Taylor with fellow pop star Katy Perry when making the wild claims. However, if this is true, the incident represents a resounding victory for Taylor in her years-long feud with Kanye, starting back in 2009 when Kanye stormed the stage at the VMAs and embarrassed Taylor Swift as she was accepting an award for Best Female Video. Yo Taylor, I'm really happy for you, I'm gonna let you finish, Kanye infamously said as he grabbed the mic from her, then Taylor, just 19 years old. But Beyonce had one of the best videos of all time, he said. Kanye was pictured at the Super Bowl with his wife, Bianca Censori, on Sunday, but it's unclear when he left the stadium. The rapper was captured wearing a full face covering with a white crucifix on the front and an all-black leather outfit, while his wife was uncharacteristically covered up in a black, oversized rain jacket and hooded accessory. Kanye was firmly stepping into enemy territory with his ex-wife Kim K, also in attendance at the big game. Kanye's marriage to Kim officially ended in 2021, and she has since begun dating Baltimore Ravens wide receiver Odell Beckham Jr. Kanye's epic feud with Taylor reached new heights after he released his 2016 track Famous, which included a vulgar reference to Taylor in the lyrics. Kanye rapped, "I feel like me and Taylor might still have why I made that girl famous." The accompanying music video also depicted a naked Taylor posed by an actress lying in his bed next to him, along with a host of other celebrities including a nude Kim K. Taylor Swift understandably took offense to the song. However, Kanye defended the line, claiming he had a phone conversation with Taylor and that she had consented to the lyric ahead of time, which Taylor denied. Swift continued to accuse Kanye of lying, which prompted Kim K to release a partial recording of the call in question. "I'm really glad you had the respect to call me and tell me that as a friend about the song. It's just a really cool thing to do and a really good show of friendship," Taylor is heard saying in the phone call. Taylor hit back, claiming that while Kanye spoke through some of the lyrics, he never said that he would call her a B-word. Taylor opened up on the ordeal during an interview with Time last year after she was named the magazine's Person of the Year. She said that the public fallout felt like a, quote, career death, adding, "Make no mistake, my career was taken right away from me." Referring to the release of the recorded conversation, she also added, "You have a fully manufactured frame job," in an illegally recorded phone call, which Kim Kardashian edited and then put out to say to everybody that I was a liar. "That took me down psychologically to a place I've never been before. I moved to a foreign country. I didn't leave a rental house for a year. I was afraid to get on phone calls," she says. As a result of the fallout, Taylor disappeared from the public eye, widely believed to have rented a home in London with British actor Joe Alwyn, who she dated at the time. "I pushed away most people in my life because I didn't trust anyone anymore. I went down really, really hard," she told Time. Most of the pop icon's album Reputation, released in 2017, took aim at her experience during this whole ordeal. Now, back to Kanye at the Super Bowl. After being forced to deny rumors he'd been booted out of the Super Bowl stadium by Taylor, Kanye is now said to have met a frosty reception also from former pal Leonardo DiCaprio at the game. Of course, the action on the field of play is meant to be the main event at the Super Bowl, though the halftime show and the celebs in attendance certainly make headlines as well. One of the many famous faces in attendance was Kanye, or Ye as he is known nowadays. The rapper has since come out and denied all the reports that he was forced to leave the stadium because of Taylor. This is a completely fabricated rumor, he says. It is not true, a representative told TMZ. While there may be no conflict with Taylor, sources close to West have claimed he didn't exactly have a warm encounter with Leo DiCaprio. The pair have been spotted hanging out together over the years, leading many to believe that they had a close bond. In fact, Kanye even performed at Leonardo's birthday party bash in the past, though a lot has seemingly changed since then. And when DiCaprio won an Oscar in 2016 for his role in The Revenant, West was evidently happy, writing on Twitter, "Finally, our guy. We're so happy for Leo," he tweeted at the time. But let's get to the awkward moment at the Super Bowl. All does not appear well with the former friends. DiCaprio and West were apparently both in the fast food chain Raising Cane's suite at the Super Bowl during the game. One source told Page 6 that DiCaprio and Kanye exchanged nods, but nothing else. However, that doesn't even seem to be the case. There was no interaction whatsoever, a different source later told the outlet. Yikes. Besides all the drama at the sports event, there was some positive news as well. This year's Super Bowl was watched by an average of 123 million people in the US, making it the most watched broadcast since the 1969 moon landing. Preliminary US TV ratings put Sunday's game just behind Apollo 11's historic landing, which was seen by an estimated 125 million people. Kansas City Chiefs beat the San Francisco 49ers 25-22 in overtime, and Taylor Swift's highly anticipated attendance to watch boyfriend Travis Kelce may have also boosted up the ratings. There was much speculation in the run-up to the event about whether Taylor would even make it back from Japan in time for the game. She had just been performing at the Eras Tour the evening before. The cameras were certainly enjoying the Swift factor, including shots of the star entering the arena and hanging out with actress Blake Lively and rapper Ice Spice, also kissing Travis after the match as they both celebrated his big win. Of this year's viewers, 112 million of the 124 million average watched the game on CBS, with the rest tuning into Paramount Plus, Nickelodeon, CBS Sports, and NFL digital channels. According to media analyst Nielsen, a record 202 million people watched at least part of the game. This year's figures may have also been helped by the fact that Nielsen has changed the way it counts people watching out of their homes, for example, now with friends or family or in bars. Last year's Super Bowl game between the Chiefs and the Philadelphia Eagles was watched by a reported 115 million viewers. The fact that the Chiefs were defending their championship title, plus Usher performing the halftime show, were also big draws this year. Usher's guests on stage included Alicia Keys, Her, will.i.am, Lil Jon, Ludacris, and Jermaine Dupri. Usher continued the celebrations later by getting married to his long-term partner Jennifer in Las Vegas, where the Super Bowl was held. The couple got hitched at Vegas Wedding's Terrace Gazebo, an outdoor wedding chapel that seats 30 guests, according to People. Quote, "We can confirm that Usher and Jennifer took the next step in their relationship and did get married on Sunday night in Las Vegas, surrounded by close friends and family," a representative for the singer told the publication. They both look forward to continuing to raise their children together, surrounded by love, and thank everybody for the well wishes. Taylor Swift hasn't always been received well by sports fans, even getting booed at a few Chiefs games, including a moment at this year's Super Bowl. The pop star was shown on the big screen, singing along to Post Malone's performance of America the Beautiful, but it sparked loud boos from the crowd, presumably from 49ers fans. Viewers took to social media to condemn the unsavory boos, with many unhappy that Swift would be booed simply for supporting her boyfriend. Others described it as, quote, "gross and shameful that the booing overshadowed Post Malone's beautiful performance." Booing Taylor Swift during another artist's performance because the producers showed her on the screen is so gross and low, one ex-user stated. Another saying, at a sports bar watching the Super Bowl, and nothing more gross and cringe than a room full of grown men booing Taylor Swift. Our first celebrity who will not be attending this year's mega sports event is singer Pink. And the reasoning is, she was offered the halftime show slot and turned it down. NFL executives were reportedly furious after Pink's 2018 Super Bowl national anthem performance. The NFL reportedly offered her the halftime gig for the following year, but she declined. Pink opened up about her decision to turn down the halftime show to Billboard in 2019, citing the potential for backlash amid her personal politics. Everybody that does it gets so persecuted, she told the outlet. The singer was also adamant about protesting the NFL's treatment of Colin Kaepernick, stating, "I'd probably take a knee and get carried out. They should only give it, because of the current controversy, to African American or Latino women for a while," Pink added. Our next celebrity is Cardi B. Cardi was also offered the halftime slot and declined. And again, the NFL higher-ups were not impressed. In 2019, Cardi B told the Associated Press that she declined the offer with, quote, mixed feelings. Cardi B told the outlet that she felt like she owed it to Colin Kaepernick to say no. Quote, "I got to sacrifice a lot of money to perform, but there's a man who sacrificed his job for us, so we gotta stand behind him," Cardi added. In the interview, the rapper also talked about her husband Offset and his complicated relationship with football due to his politics. He really wants to go to the Super Bowl, but he can't go to the Super Bowl because he's got to stand for something, she continued. Now, if you're confused about why these celebs are turning down the halftime show for Colin Kaepernick, here is the scoop. In 2016, football player Colin Kaepernick took a knee during the national anthem before a game to protest unrelenting police violence against black communities and was blacklisted because of it. Next on our list, we have Will Smith. The reasoning behind his probable banning is because of the infamous Oscars moment when Will went on stage and slapped Oscars host Chris Rock after he made a comment about Will's ex-wife Jada Pinkett Smith. In 2022, Will Smith received a 10-year ban from the Academy Awards for slapping Chris on stage, meaning he cannot attend the Oscars until 2033. Yikes. Due to his aggressive behavior at publicized events, it's likely the actor will not be allowed to attend the star-studded sports event. In his resignation, Smith said he would, quote, accept any further consequences that the board deems appropriate. "I betrayed the trust of the Academy," he added in his statement. "I deprived other nominees and winners of their opportunity to celebrate and be celebrated for their extraordinary work." In its letter announcing the ban, the board expressed, quote, deep gratitude to Chris Rock for maintaining his composure under extraordinary circumstances, and also thanked our hosts, nominees, presenters, and winners for their poise and grace during the telecast. This action we are taking today in response to Will Smith's behavior is a step toward a larger goal of protecting the safety of our performers and guests and restoring trust in the Academy, the letter concluded. We also hope this can begin a time of healing and restoration for all involved and impacted. Our next celebrity may come as a bit of a shock. Miss Taylor Swift. As girlfriend of Kansas City Chiefs player Travis Kelce, who will be playing at this year's Super Bowl, you'd think Taylor would obviously be allowed at the event, but not necessarily. The NFL has strict rules when it comes to what celebrities are allowed in their crowd, and the NFL may see Taylor as a distraction to the big game. One football fan reportedly yelled at Taylor while she was watching a Chiefs game, screaming, "You're ruining football." And one time, she was loudly booed when she was shown on screen during a Kansas City Chiefs game. Another reason why she might not be invited to the Super Bowl is because she's also one of those celebs on the list who turned down the halftime show. The reason she turned it down is likely because her schedule is already booked so full and in advance that there is no time for her to prepare for this type of event. It's expected also for free. The only possible thing that Taylor could get out of it would be, quote, exposure, which we all know she isn't lacking. Justin Timberlake is another celebrity who is most likely banned from ever attending another Super Bowl event after his 2004 viral Super Bowl halftime performance. If you don't know the story, let me catch you up. Justin and Janet Jackson were performing in front of over 150 million fans watching worldwide when at the end of the show, he tore Janet's costume and bared her chest live on stage. It didn't seem like it was a mistake, and Janet was furious. But says she later forgave Justin. Honestly, this whole thing was blown way out of proportion. She opened up about the incident during part 2 of her Janet Jackson documentary for Lifetime. She continues by saying, "And of course, it should not have happened, but everybody is looking for someone to blame, and that has got to stop. Justin and I are really good friends, and we will always be really good friends." Next up, we have a pretty obvious NFL ban, Lance Armstrong. NFL prohibits any doping or cheating in all games, so Lance will not be allowed to get anywhere near the Super Bowl. Lance Armstrong, a former American road racing cyclist, helped elevate cycling to global popularity. His 7 consecutive Tour de France victories from 1999 to 2005, and also his status as a cancer survivor, made him one of the most iconic athletes ever. In 2012, cyclist Lance Armstrong was formally stripped of his 7 Tour de France titles after being charged with using performance-enhancing drugs, as well as demanding his teammates also use them to help him win races. Next up, we have another athlete, Oscar Pistorius, another sports star who will not be allowed to attend this year's Super Bowl. In 2012, Oscar from South Africa became the first double amputee to run in the Olympics. Just 6 months later, he ended his girlfriend's life in their house. The news of this gripped South Africa and the entire world. Pistorius, now 37, later claimed that he had mistaken her for a burglar during the night. Pistorius was eventually convicted in 2019, and he has been serving a 13-year prison sentence, but just recently in January he was released on parole. Next up, we have Tom Brady. Tom Brady is considered to be one of the greatest to have played the game of American football. The quarterback spent the majority of his career with the New England Patriots. However, the great has his fair share of controversies as well. In 2015, Brady was found to be using balls that were intentionally deflated in their game against Indianapolis Colts. This deflated ball was illegal, as it meant that Brady had a better grip on the ball. After being found out, Brady was imposed with a fine of $1 million and was also given a 4-match ban. He is technically allowed to attend the game, but it's likely football fans would be furious if they see him there. Our next celebrity who will not be allowed to attend this year's Super Bowl is Tonya Harding. Remember the movie I Am Tonya starring Margot Robbie? Yes, that is her. Tonya Harding is a former American figure skater. In 1994, ahead of the US Figure Skating Championships, Harding conspired to have fellow American figure skater and also her rival, Nancy Kerrigan, attacked. The attack was orchestrated by Harding's former husband and her bodyguard. The plan was to injure Nancy before the tournament so that she couldn't participate in the upcoming tournament and also in the Winter Olympics. And they did just that. Before Kerrigan was about to go on the ice, she got hit hard in the kneecap by a metal bar. Afterwards, crying, "Why me?" a scream heard around the world. However, Harding's plan technically failed, as Nancy just ended up with a bruise instead of a broken leg. Nancy Kerrigan then went on to win silver in the Winter Olympics. Tonya admitted to her wrongdoings and was penalized with a fine and 5,000 hours of community service. Another athlete with a scandalous past. Our final celebrity who will not be allowed to attend this year's Super Bowl is Adele, another singer who declined an offer to perform the halftime show. After rumors swirled that Adele would perform at the 2017 Super Bowl, she told a crowd at the 2016 concert in Los Angeles that she actually rejected the offer. First of all, I'm not doing the Super Bowl. I mean, come on, that show is not about music. I can't dance or anything like that. They were really kind, they did ask me, but I said no, Adele told the audience, according to Billboard. The day after the 2016 concert, the NFL and Pepsi released a statement asserting that they never, quote, extended an offer to Adele or anyone else. Yikes. But Adele is doing absolutely fine. That same year, Adele won Grammys for Record of the Year, Album of the Year, Song of the Year, Best Pop Vocal Album, and Best Pop Solo Performance. Her hit song Hello has 3 billion views on YouTube, 1 million comments, and 18 million likes. So yeah, she didn't need the Super Bowl.
At number 10, Janet Jackson. The Super Bowl halftime show is one of the biggest televised events of each year in North America. Millions upon millions of people tune in annually to watch the year's biggest and probably most expensive performance. So for the people putting on the show, there is a lot on the line and the stakes are quite high for whoever is on stage that year. Normally these performances go pretty well, but there are always memes of the off moments, like Left Shark for example. But during the 2004 Super Bowl halftime show, viewers watched a serious wardrobe malfunction malfunction happened that was life-changing and career-altering to say the least, and it was more serious than just a meme. Janet Jackson and Justin Timberlake were performing together on stage that night when a move went wrong, and Janet's breast ended up getting exposed. Following the televised incident that the media dubbed Nipplegate, the FCC sued CBS for the live mishap in a $550,000 lawsuit, inciting indecent exposure for their cause. Janet Jackson was also put through the ringer for her whole part in the scandal. Even though none of it was really her fault, it was just an accident that obviously wasn't meant to happen. It was then discovered that the whole incident happened because the two performers had added a costume reveal into their performance at the last minute, and though it was rehearsed, the stunt failed at the last minute, resulting in Janet's exposure. As a result of the backlash Janet started receiving, she was uninvited to the Grammy Awards that year, and her songs were blacklisted from the radio. Even the next few albums she released following the incident were met with a lot of negativity because of this scandal. It was all just an accident that caused a huge scandal and ended in someone getting cancelled and facing so much hate for no reason. At number 9, Prince. Just a few years after the infamous Nipplegate scandal, the Super Bowl had yet another halftime show controversy when Prince performed. In 2007, he stepped out of the box with his halftime show performance, and though the performance itself was nominated for 2 Emmy Awards, still faced controversy. During the performance, the silhouette of the singer was projected onto a huge flowing cloth that obscured the singer's view. It looked pretty artsy, but soon people came to take offense to what was cast in the shadow that was being created. The scandal erupted when a, quote, perceived phallus was cast in the shadow where Prince's body met his guitar. This ended up causing some uproar amongst viewers, and as a result, the network broadcasting the Super Bowl, CBS, got a lot of complaints from those who tuned in to watch the performance. Before we carry on talking about some of the biggest Super Bowl scandals, why not take a moment to leave a like on this video if you're enjoying it so far, and while you're at it, consider subscribing to the channel to see more videos like this one. At number 8, Tim Tebow. One of the biggest parts of the Super Bowl broadcast each year are the ads that run during the show. Advertisers spend millions of dollars to have their ads shown each year, and sometimes these ads can cause quite a lot of controversy. One of the more famous Super Bowl ad scandals comes from the pro-life Tim Tebow ad from the 2010 Super Bowl. The Celebrate Family, Celebrate Life ad starring Tim Tebow and his mother caused quite a lot of uproar, as various groups ended up protesting against the so-called advocacy ad. The ad, which was created by a conservative group called Focus on the Family, cost the group's donors $3 million to run during the big game. People thought that an ad of this nature was inappropriate to run during an event like this because it was such a controversial issue. The entire 30-second ad was devoted to Tim Tebow's mom gushing about her miracle baby, and people thought that if there was a political message behind the ad, it was extremely obscured. The whole ordeal was pretty bizarre and very divisive as well, though Tim Tebow did defend the ad, saying that he knew some people wouldn't agree with the ad, but he still went along with it anyway. At number 7, Tom Brady. Now, I can't say that I'm the biggest football fan ever because I barely understand the game. I root for the Miami Dolphins because my uncle told me to, and that's about it. I watch the Super Bowl for the commercials and the halftime show and go on my merry way because that's about the extent of my football attention span. But in 2015, going on your merry way was a little harder to do, as the AFC Championship game was also shrouded in scandal that year, and all eyes were on Tom Brady. The Deflategate scandal, as it was dubbed by news sources, saw Tom Brady caught in the middle of a huge sporting controversy after it was discovered that the balls that were used for the championship were deflated, and that he allegedly knew about this. It was theorized that the balls could have been deflated to help Brady's grip and to make it easier for other players to catch and hold onto the balls. As a result of the scandal, Tom Brady was due to miss the first 4 games of the season. The Patriots were fined $1 million, and the team lost 2 draft picks as well. It was bad press for Brady and one of his worst moments. At number 6, Barrett Robbins. Imagine missing the biggest moment of your life or career, the event that would change your life forever. Well, for former Oakland Raiders center Barrett Robbins, that's exactly what happened, as he went missing just before his team was set to play in the Super Bowl against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers back in 2003. Robbins ended up being a no-show for the biggest game of his life, leaving his coaches and teammates high and dry leading up to the big game. Barrett was also known to have struggled with his mental health, and it seems as though this was part of the reason why he failed to show up to the Super Bowl match. The football player missed the game after leaving his hotel in San Diego without his wallet and cell phone in order to party in Tijuana, Mexico. After that, he was hospitalized and diagnosed with bipolar disorder. After this incident, things didn't get much better for Barrett, as he started using substances to cope with his mental health. He was kicked off the Raiders due to steroid use, and he was sentenced to 5 years in prison for an involvement in a shooting incident in 2005. He certainly had a serious fall from grace after his Super Bowl Bowl no-show. At number 5, Ray Lewis. Though this scandal didn't happen during the big game, it did unfold the day after the Super Bowl, and it was very big news. After the 2000 Super Bowl, former Baltimore Ravens linebacker Ray Lewis landed himself into a huge scandal when he and his entourage got into a huge fight in Atlanta that resulted in 2 people losing their lives in a brutal stabbing. The NFL player and his companions were later indicted on multiple violent crime charges. However, the privilege that comes with having fame came through to save Ray Lewis from having to serve time. He was given a deal to have his charges dismissed in exchange for testimony against his friends Reginald Oakley and Joseph Sweeting, both of whom were later acquitted. Luckily for Ray, this scandal didn't totally ruin his career, as following the incident, he was able to go on to win 2 Super Bowl titles and continue into having a career with ESPN. At number 4, Beyonce. Celebrities care a lot about their image. We know this already. They care about looking their best no matter what, but with the efforts to keep their image looking perfect in the eyes of their fans as well as the media, this has been known to cause scandals. We've seen this a lot with celebrities like the Kardashians, who cause minor controversies when their photos are either heavily edited or not edited at all, but another celebrity who's faced a scandal for something similar is Beyonce, and her scandal happened after her Super Bowl halftime show performance in 2013. Though the performance itself went off without a hitch, making headlines for her theatrics and also the long-awaited reunion of Destiny's Child, the aftermath was a little dramatic. People had been uploading photos of the performance online, but some of the images included some unflattering shots of the singer. Because of this, Beyonce's people tried to get those unflattering images removed from digital archives. Some media outlets were understanding and took the images down, but others did not, and as a result, instead of removing the images, publications like BuzzFeed instead publicized the email that was sent out by Beyonce's team, showing the world how ridiculous this whole situation was. At number 3, MIA. Now let's move on to another Super Bowl halftime show scandal. The 2012 Super Bowl halftime show had a lot of big names performing. Artists like Madonna, LMFAO, Nicki Minaj, CeeLo Green, and MIA were performing, and looking back on it now, some people say that this lineup was already a recipe for disaster. People thought that if anything were to go wrong, it would have been Madonna who caused something because of her history causing controversy on stage, like that famous onstage kiss with Britney Spears, but in this case, the scandal fell on singer MIA, who ended up flipping the bird on live TV. This all became a bigger scandal than it needed to be because Madonna spoke out against the singer's actions, blowing things out of proportion, saying that she was appalled by the singer's actions and her disregard for those watching. This scandal died down relatively quickly, but later resurfaced in 2014 when the NFL sued the singer for over $16 million in restitution for her onstage antics. This was a big deal because at first, the NFL was only suing for $1.5 million. The 2 parties ended up settling out of court, but the details of the settlement are unreleased. At number 2, Christina Aguilera. If you're one of the lucky celebrities who gets to perform at the Super Bowl, all eyes are on you. The Super Bowl is one of the most watched television events of every year, so there's a lot riding on each performance. So imagine with all of that viewership, how embarrassing a mess up would be. Well, this is something that unfortunately Christina Aguilera experienced when she was asked to sing the national anthem at the 2011 Super Bowl. You would think that because she's American, then she wouldn't have a hard time singing the national anthem without any issues, but you would be wrong, because as she was performing, she messed up the lyrics and sang "What So Proudly We Watched" instead of "Or the Ramparts We Watched." In retrospect, it's really not that big of a deal, but when you have millions of eyes on you, that pressure can sometimes get to be a little too much to handle and can cause mistakes to happen. It's not the biggest scandal ever, but lots of people were talking about it and shaming the singer for that simple mistake. And finally, at number 1, Spygate. Now, this scandal was probably one of the biggest Super Bowl scandals ever because it was messy and very dishonest. This scandal from 2007, which was dubbed Spygate, was sparked by allegations that the New York Patriots had illegally videotaped the New York Giants defensive coach's hand signals. The Patriots head coach Bill Belichick was ordered to pay a $500,000 fine as a result. But that's not where it ended. The scandal came back again just 2 days before the Patriots and Giants were set to face off in the Super Bowl that year. A U.S. senator demanded a meeting with the NFL commissioner to discuss what had happened with the 2 teams. 6 months later, it was revealed that this spying had happened before in 2002 when the Pats had recorded the St. Louis Rams practice playthrough. Now, I can't say that I understand football or football culture, but even I know that's messed up.
And at number 10, Travis Scott. Travis has faced a lot of backlash in the past, as we've come to learn, between the offensive things that he said and his conduct during his concerts, and because of this, Travis very well could be blacklisted from performing at the Super Bowl. We have of course heard about what happened at Travis Scott's Astroworld concert last year. The rapper's performance ended in tragedy as the chaos that ensued during the concert left multiple people passed away and hundreds injured. 10 people lost their lives due to the events that unfolded, and many others are still recovering from their injuries, as well as the families of those affected still trying to cope with everything. There's a lot of footage circling the internet showing what happened that night and the madness that occurred during the performance, with people showing the crowds of people and even some fans yelling to stop the show. After the incident, we found out that the Houston police chief actually warned Travis about crowd control prior to the event, expressing his concerns for public safety at the event. After people found this out, Travis started facing even more backlash, as fans said that if he really listened to this warning, these casualties could have been avoided. The NFL certainly wouldn't want to take a chance on Travis after this tragic incident. And at number 9, Kanye West. Kanye West isn't the nicest guy out there, and I think we all know that by now. Whether it's on stage or on Twitter, I'm sure we've seen Kanye West being pretty mean and offensive on multiple occasions. Remember the VMA incident where he stole Taylor Swift's spotlight after winning her award? We also have to mention his tweets as well. He's very outspoken online and has a tendency to offend people a lot. From his claims about Bill Cosby being an innocent man following his allegations, as well as his tweets bashing his own family members, Kanye doesn't hold back on this and has rubbed a lot of people the wrong way, making them hate him. Because of all the backlash that he's faced, as well as his unpredictable nature, the NFL probably will have him banned so as not to risk the success of their halftime show. In at number 8, Marilyn Manson. Marilyn Manson is known for his alt metal music and unique style, but he's also someone that a lot of people have come to hate. Actress Evan Rachel Wood came out earlier last year to name the singer as the person who inflicted harm upon her, accusing him of manipulating and brainwashing her from a young age. The actress posted a testimony to her Instagram calling Manson, as well as the industry, out for his actions and for enabling him all this time. In the past, Evan Rachel Wood has spoken out about the fact that she was in a toxic relationship and has detailed some of the horrifying things that she experienced, but she never named him until that time. In a published testimony, she said, quote, "He broke me down through means of starvation, sleep deprivation, and threats against my life, sometimes with weapons, which would result in me having severe panic attacks where I was unable to breathe or stop shaking." She also said that he had her phone tapped and had threats made against her loved ones. Manson has lost all credibility in the industry as well as in general public, so as a result I wouldn't be surprised if he never held another live performance again, especially not at the Super Bowl. In at number 7, Sinead O'Connor. In October of 1992, Sinead O'Connor caused some controversy during her guest spot on SNL. She was brought on the show to be its musical guest, and already people were a little confused by her as she refused to sing one of her songs from her recent album at the time. She instead opted to sing an a cappella version of Bob Marley's song War. It was an intense performance, and she even changed some of the lyrics to specifically mention young people. As the song came to an end and she was wrapping up her performance, she pulled out a photo of Pope John Paul II and tore it up, saying, quote, "Fight the real enemy." Sinead's actions caused a huge stir. After her performance, NBC started receiving thousands of angry calls over the following days, and even some celebrities came forward to criticize Sinead's actions. There have already been many scandals in the past when it comes to the halftime show, and the network has been known to get many complaints, so they probably don't want to hire Sinead to perform, even if she was a guest. Because of her past controversies, they probably banned Sinead from performing at the Super Bowl. And at number 6, DaBaby. Last year, rapper DaBaby caused a big uproar in the LGBT+ community. He got into quite the controversy after he said some pretty offensive things while on stage performing at Rolling Loud in Miami. While on the stage, the rapper made offensive comments about the gay community, as well as HIV and AIDS, calling it a, quote, "deadly sexually transmitted disease that'll make you die in 2-3 weeks. He also went on to say some more homophobic things about gay men that also added fuel to the fire. This was a huge scandal at the time, and so because of that and the nature of the comments he made, the people who organized the Super Bowl probably won't want to have the rapper perform at the halftime show, and they have him banned. Maybe not forever, but certainly for now. Halfway number 5, Akon. Rapper Akon once got so mad at a fan that he threw him off stage. And I don't mean he was escorted, I mean he literally picked someone up and threw them. The whole incident went down in 2007 at one of his performances at the Duchess Stadium. A 15-year-old fan threw an object at Akon from the audience, and this really made him mad. He had people bring the kid up on stage just for Akon to pick him up and chuck him off it. As a result of the incident, Akon was given a $350 fine and was ordered to complete 65 hours of community service. This kind of behavior definitely wouldn't be tolerated at the Super Bowl. The NFL might think that Akon could react in a similar way if something went wrong, and Akon snapped again, and they probably don't want to risk another meltdown. He probably won't be invited to perform at the big game. And at number 4, Billie Joe Armstrong. In 2012, Green Day was performing at the iHeartRadio Music Festival, and things got heated. According to the band's frontrunner, Billie Joe Armstrong, the show's producers had allegedly cut the band's set time down from 45 minutes to just 25. This obviously didn't sit right with him, and as he watched the the timer count down as he and the band performed, that just made him angry to the point where he sort of threw a tantrum when the band was down to its last minute of set time. Billy kept shouting, 1 minute left over and over again, and went on to say that he's been around since '88, hinting that since he's been around for so long, he deserves respect. Then in a fit of rage, he took his guitar by the neck and began smashing it on the stage until it broke. He then threw his mic and stormed off stage. Much like Akon's on-stage meltdown, the NFL probably wouldn't want to risk something bad happening on stage, and so the Green Day frontrunner could be on the list of banned celebrities. And at number 3, Janet Jackson. The Super Bowl halftime show is one moment a year that millions of people tune in to watch at the same time. People turn off their reality TV programs and reruns of Jeopardy to grab a snack and watch the year's biggest performance. Well, during the 2004 Super Bowl halftime show, viewers watched a serious wardrobe malfunction happen that was life-changing to say the least. Janet Jackson and Justin Timberlake were performing together when a move went wrong, and Janet's breast ended up being exposed. Following the incident, the media dubbed Nipplegate, the FCC sued CBS for the live incident in a $550,000 lawsuit citing indecent exposure for their cause. Janet Jackson was put through the ringer for her part in the whole scandal. As a result, she was uninvited to the Grammy Awards that year, and her songs were blacklisted from the radio. Even the next few albums she released following the incident was met with negative reviews because of the scandal. After this huge scandal, Janet faced some pretty big setbacks, and many people thought that she was permanently banned from the Super Bowl. This could be true, but since it's been so many years, we really can't know for sure. And at number 2, 50 Cent. Back in 2016, rapper 50 Cent got in some trouble while in the Caribbean after saying some colorful language on stage at one of his concerts. It all happened during one of his performances while in St. Kitts. In St. Kitts, the use of profanity in public is illegal, and so when it came to his concert, he was told that he had to refrain from using any adult language while on stage. But during one of his songs, he mistakenly said the word mother effer in front of the audience of 40,000 people, and it was a huge no-no. He was allowed to finish the rest of his set, but he was promptly arrested after the show. In his defense, 50 Cent said that he didn't have a clean version of the song and he forgot to move his mic away from his mouth when he said the word. Because the halftime show was broadcast live, networks want to make sure that the show is somewhat family friendly, and since 50 Cent has been in a scandal for using profanity in public before, he could be banned from performing just to be on the safe side. And finally, at number 1, the Red Hot Chili Peppers. The Super Bowl seems to be pretty good at creating scandals. Whether it's related to the game itself or the halftime show, there's bound to be some kind of trending moment during the event. And in 2014, there was a scandalous moment during the halftime performance by the band the Red Hot Chili Peppers. Even though during their performance it looked like everyone was jamming out hardcore and having a good time, it turns out that was all pretty much fake. The band was exposed after it was revealed that they performed with their instruments unplugged and pre-recorded setlists playing over them. After they got exposed, they explained that they pre-recorded their performance as to ensure that nothing went wrong, but somehow, even with those precautions, they still ended up in a bit of hot water with fans. Now they could be banned after this scandal. Though it wasn't major, the backlash was still there and fans might not want to tune in again to see another performance flop, and obviously the NFL doesn't want to see that, so they wouldn't let them back. And at number 10, Adele. Adele shaded the NFL in 2016 when she revealed that she rejected their offer to perform at the 2017 halftime show. In August of 2016, Adele took the opportunity during her show at Las Vegas' Staples Center to set the record straight about if she would be the star of the next year's halftime. And she said it was a hard pass. She said, quote, "First of all, I'm not doing the Super Bowl. I mean, come on, that show is not about music. And I can't dance or anything like that. They were very kind, they did ask me, but I did say no." And from that standpoint, I get what she's saying. Adele is known for her iconic ballads, not the insane shows that are generally put on at the Super Bowl. This was not the end though. The NFL came back with their own shady dig, claiming that they never actually offered her the halftime show in the first place. Clearly someone is lying, but either way, that relationship is torn. And at number 9, Jay-Z. Jay-Z is another star who turned down the chance to perform at the Super Bowl halftime show, and he revealed the reason why in a song. In the song Ape Shit, that was made in collaboration with his wife Beyonce, he rapped, quote, "I said no to the Super Bowl. You need me, I don't need you. Every night we're in the end zone, tell the NFL we're in stadiums too." He also took the time to call out the Grammys as well, as he feels he has not been respected by that organization. The source reported that Jay said no to the 2018 halftime show, which Justin Timberlake ended up doing. But it's clear he's not done with the organization altogether. In 2019, Jay-Z's company Rock Nation made a deal to team up with the NFL for a multi-year partnership intended to, quote, "enhance the NFL's live game experiences and to amplify the league's social justice efforts." This role means that Jay-Z plays a role in selecting who performs at the halftime shows in the future. And at number 8, Rihanna. Rihanna passed up the Super Bowl show in 2019 because she wanted to stand in solidarity with San Francisco 49ers quarterback Colin Kaepernick's "take a knee" movement. Rihanna commented directly on her reasoning for not taking part, telling Vogue, quote, "I couldn't dare do that. For what? Who gains from that? Not my people. I just couldn't be a sellout. I couldn't be an enabler. There's things within that organization that I do not agree with at all, and I wasn't going to go out and be of service to them in any way." Rihanna usually doesn't comment on things like this, but it's clear she wanted everyone to know the reason that she did not want to perform was because of the NFL. That year, the organization struggled to book a performer, and in the end, Maroon 5 and Travis Scott agreed. And at number 7, the Red Hot Chili Peppers. In 2014, Bruno Mars ran the halftime show and decided to bring out the Red Hot Chili Peppers as one of his guests. The band and Mars performed Give It Away, and everyone loved it. However, during the performance, fans on TV realized that the bass and guitars were not plugged in, making it clear it was not actually a live performance. The band started to get tons of backlash, and people were angry that they didn't play live as they had claimed they would. The bassist later made a statement which revealed, quote, "When we were asked by the NFL and Bruno to play our song, Give It Away at the Super Bowl, it was made clear to us that the vocals would be live, but the bass, drums, and guitar would all be pre-recorded." The band's guitarist also doubled down, revealing that every band in the last 10 years has also performed to a recorded track, because there's way too much room for error with a real live performance. I'm sure the NFL did not like that the band revealed a coveted secret like that, and since that revelation, fans have looked down on the legitimacy of the performances. And at number 6, MIA. MIA made a huge mistake while performing with Madonna at the 2012 Super Bowl that not only cost her career, but forced her to pay up a massive lawsuit. During Madonna's halftime slot at the 2012 Super Bowl, she brought out her collaborators on the song Give Me All Your Lovin', MIA and Nicki Minaj. But the great night came to a crashing halt after MIA flipped the bird at the end of the performance, and millions of viewers at home saw. The league was so outraged by the decision that they decided to sue MIA for $16 million. The suit was settled between parties for an undisclosed amount. She claimed the finger was a, quote, display of female empowerment through being punk rock. Madonna later commented that she had no idea it even happened until much later, and she was really surprised to learn that it happened. In the end, MIA is clearly never allowed back, and I wouldn't be surprised if she was never allowed to perform anywhere. Halfway number 5, Fergie. Fergie is known for making all of her performances original, but many didn't expect that to be the case when she's singing songs like the national anthem. Fergie made us all cringe when she tried out a new rendition of the Star-Spangled Banner, and we all just wanted to make it stop. But that was not the first time a cover of hers went wrong. In 2011, Fergie and the Black Eyed Peas hosted the Super Bowl halftime show, and they brought out special guest Slash during a performance. In between performing Black Eyed Peas songs, Fergie and Slash performed a rendition of Sweet Child of Mine that had fans in uproar. As we know, Fergie likes to put her own spin on classic songs, but this one was not received well. It was the third song in an 8-song set list, which Rolling Stone described as the worst Super Bowl halftime show of all time. So I would assume the fans do not want her back. And at number 4, themed halftime shows. Back in 1995, the NFL decided to change up the halftime show in a big way. Instead of having a celebrity performer like usual, they worked with Disney to create an Indiana Jones themed show. In 1995, Disney unveiled its Indiana Jones Adventure Temple of the Forbidden Eye ride, and they felt the best place to promote this new ride was at the 1995 Super Bowl halftime show. Disney came on board as the producer of the NFL's chief spectacle, and it was pretty goddamn strange. The 11-minute show was somewhat of a musical theater performance. First, we see Patti LaBelle lip-syncing to a random song. Then Indiana Jones and Marion Ravenwood show up via parachute and have to fight their way through a horde of ninjas. Then they grab the Vince Lombardi trophy and run away. Then the performers sing Can You Feel the Love Tonight?, which felt like a strange choice. Thankfully, there was no mishaps during the performance, but we're glad something like that did not ever happen again. And at number 3, Eminem. Eminem performed with 4 other artists during last weekend's Super Bowl show. The show featured performances from iconic hip-hop artists including Eminem, Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, 50 Cent, and Mary J. Blige. In the middle of the show, while Dr. Dre was playing a piano, Eminem took a knee and put his hand over his head. Many took this as a sign of Eminem's support of Colin Kaepernick's Take a Knee initiative. This is even more controversial because it was reported that the performers were banned from taking a knee during the show, and anti-police language was taken out of many of the songs during the show. Eric Gardner reported on Sunday, quote, "The league nixed a plan by Eminem to kneel, Colin Kaepernick style." Eminem has not clarified his intention since the buzz started, but I think it's clear what he was doing, and because he defied the NFL's rules, he will not be asked back to perform. And at number 2, Jennifer Lopez. After J-Lo and Shakira joined forces during the 2020 Super Bowl, J-Lo admitted they included a political message in the performance. During the set, J-Lo's daughter Emmy sang a few lines of Bruce Springsteen's Born in the USA, with Let's Get Loud, Then at the same time, kids look to appear in small cages on the field behind a large fence. Some viewers noticed the kids in cages as an apparent reference to President Donald Trump's immigration policy of separating families at the US-Mexico border. After the show, J.Lo confirmed that was the intention, and the whole thing was planned to send a message to the government. She said, quote, "All I want my girls, the little girls on stage with me and all over the world to know is how to use their voices and be proud of everything they are. Other people can try to build walls, keep us out, or put us in cages. We are proud to recognize that all of us together are what makes this beautiful country truly great." And finally, number 1, Miley Cyrus. Miley Cyrus is a celebrity who's gone through a massive transformation in her years since becoming a celebrity. She used to be known as the innocent Hannah Montana on the Disney Channel, but as soon as she left Disney, she became Hollywood's wild child, because she's known for doing the unthinkable, like twerking on Robin Thicke at the VMAs. Because of all this, she is banned from performing in the Dominican Republic. According to the AP, government officials deem that Miley, quote, "undertakes acts that go against morals and customs which are punishable by Dominican law, and thus she cannot perform in their country." And I'm sure the Dominican Republic is not the only country that feels this way, and does not want performances by Miley in their country. Because she's so unpredictable and not family friendly, I would assume she will not be asked to perform at the halftime show. And at number 10, Kanye West's mask. We all know that Kanye loves to stand out, and that was no different at Sunday's Super Bowl. Kanye showed up to the game with his 2 kids, Saint and North, and he decided to wear a black mask that covered his entire face. The only ventilation in the mask were multiple tiny black holes made around his eyes. During the game, he was also posting constantly to Instagram, mostly taking aim at Kim Kardashian and her new boyfriend Pete Davidson. Comedian and director Judd Apatow even gave the inside scoop on Kanye's feelings about the outfit, and apparently Kanye regretted the choice. Apatow heard Kanye and a friend talking about the ridiculous mask. Apatow's caption said, quote, "I'm sitting near Kanye. He seems very hot and sweaty in the mask. I overheard him say, 'Man, I wish I didn't go with the mask today, but now that I'm in, I can't really bail on it.'" Kanye then asked a friend if he could lose the mask at halftime, but the friend said he just has to commit to the decision now. Kanye apparently added, quote, "I wish we would have cut some more vents in this thing." And at number 9, Doja Cat. This one isn't that embarrassing, but Doja Cat had some fans scratching their heads when she appeared on the Jumbotron at the Super Bowl. She was seated next to The Weeknd, and when the camera panned to the group, she decided to meme the situation in usual fashion. When the camera appeared, everyone smiled and looked towards it, other than Doja, who looked at the camera like she was afraid or something, clearly memeing the situation. Then when another camera showed a different angle, we could see her slowly raising her thumbs. She was not the only one who had a questionable appearance on the Jumbotron though. After a few more stars were shown, the camera panned to see Shaq, who did some really uncomfortable tongue movements before the camera then panned away. And at number 8, Janet Jackson. Janet Jackson is easily the celebrity with the worst track record relating to the Super Bowl, and it's no question that she's had the most embarrassing experience. In 2004, she had the honor of leading the halftime performance, but she made the mistake of inviting Justin Timberlake to perform with her. This incident was so bad, it coined the term wardrobe malfunction. While her and Timberlake were performing the song Rock Your Body, Justin reached over and ripped her shirt, exposing her bare breasts to everyone watching live. Over 540,000 complaints were filed after the incident, and CBS was even fined for allowing it to appear on TV. Following the mishap, Jackson was banned from attending the Grammys that year, and all the world could talk about was Janet Jackson, even though Timberlake completely caused the malfunction. Watching the performance back, it's clear that moment was staged. We're just not sure where exactly it went wrong. It was rumored that he was just supposed to pull back the top part and expose a red lace bra that she was wearing underneath, but obviously he ripped off too much. Jackson's career has never really recovered following the event. And at number 7, Katy Perry. Thankfully, Katy Perry did not embarrass herself by doing anything wrong, but her halftime show is not remembered for how entertaining or groundbreaking that it was, rather it's remembered because of the embarrassing left shark. Katy Perry headlined the halftime show in 2015 and put on a bright and colorful performance, as expected. When the show ended, all anyone could talk about was Perry's backup dancer, who became memed as the left shark. During the performance, Perry had 2 giant sharks behind her dancing while she sang Teenage Dream, but the left one caught everyone's attention because the shark was off cue the whole time and looked to be falling behind. That year, the shark became one of the year's top Halloween costumes. After this performance, everyone wanted to know the full story behind Left Shark, so the dancer inside the costume, Brian Goss, shared his side. He'd been dancing with Perry for 5 years beforehand, and he said that he felt the performance was up to interpretation, so he decided to play a different sort of character as the goofy shark who did not know what he was doing, and clearly he played that role perfectly. And at number 6, Coldplay. This group's halftime show was so monumental and iconic that people still talk about it to this day. But the embarrassing part is that nobody gives Coldplay any credit for their own show. It's hard not to love Coldplay, but sadly their Super Bowl halftime show was a little cringy, mostly because the band was upstaged by their surprise guests, Beyonce and Bruno Mars. I assume most of you didn't even know that Beyonce's legendary Super Bowl performance in 2016 was not actually her show, it was Coldplay's show, she just guest starred, and completely overshadowed the band during their own show. Considering many people don't remember anything about Coldplay's performance, it's clear they took the back seat. During the show, Chris Martin's performance looked more like a third wheel, not someone who was actually supposed to be there. Halfway number 5, Christina Aguilera. Back in 2011, Christina Aguilera was responsible for a huge blunder when she sang the wrong lyrics to the Star Spangled Banner. Everyone knows that the national anthem is sang at the beginning of all sporting events, and the countries representing both sides are sang before the game starts. At the Super Bowl, this anthem is the American national anthem, and even though everyone thinks they know the national anthem, they probably didn't know it as well as they think, and are used to just mouthing along to it. So when Christina Aguilera messed it up, it was a big deal. Aguilera's powerful voice boomed throughout the stadium as expected, but she made the mistake of singing the wrong words at the wrong time. The pop star confused "Oh the ramparts we watch, we are so gallantly streaming" with "What so proudly we watch at the twilight's last gleaming." After the mishap, Aguilera addressed the blunder and said that she simply just lost her place. And at number 4, 50 Cent. During the 2022 halftime show, 50 Cent came out as a special guest performer. He sang his hit song "In the Club" in the middle of the landmark show. But the part of his performance that got everyone talking was when he hung upside down while singing a part of the song, in a bizarre and uncomfortable looking decision. This move was a reference to the music video for the song, where 50 can be seen doing upside down crutches. Since this stunt started with him upside down, the set was instantly memed, with fans assuming that 50 was hanging upside down for quite a while he waited for Snoop Dogg and Dr. Dre to finish up their song. Like this tweet that read, 50 Cent waiting for his part the whole time, #halftime show. And at number 3, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson opened the Super Bowl with an energetic speech to rile up the players and viewers for the big event about to take place. The nearly 2-minute speech was electric, but during it, fans could not help but notice that his fly might have been down during it. While speaking, he was wearing maroon pants, and you could faintly see white material peeking through his fly, almost like his underwear was just barely showing. Many online called it the 2022 Super Bowl wardrobe malfunction. His clothing choice had already drawn comments before people's eyes were drawn to his crotch though. He was wearing a clashing all-purple ensemble that looked like it had shrunk in the wash and was about to rip every time he started yelling. And at number 2, Kanye's Super Bowl commercial. Kanye West was not only ranting about his ex-wife during the Super Bowl, he also starred in one of the commercials for McDonald's. And I'm sure the PR team for McDonald's was not happy with how the day turned out. The commercial started with people driving up to the window to order and having no idea what they wanted, which prompted them to do the classic as they figured out what they wanted. The commercial shows countless people thinking about what to order, then at the end of the commercial, Kanye rolls up in a huge military-style tank and says, "Hey, can I get a..." until the commercial ends. Ye, who was actually at the Super Bowl with his kids that night, has proclaimed his love for McDonald's in the past. In 2018, he tweeted, quote, "McDonald's is my favorite restaurant." The commercial itself is pretty funny, but the fact that the McDonald's PR team was most likely in disarray was hilarious. And finally, number 1, Mickey Guyton. At this year's Super Bowl, there was an awkward mix-up that was not only embarrassing for the NFL, but also for the performers. Singer Mickey Guyton, who sang the national anthem, was incorrectly labeled as Jhené Aiko while she was up singing. In their defense, Jhené Aiko was singing at the event alongside Guyton, however Aiko sang "America the Beautiful" at a different time. At the time of the mix-up, both women were standing on the field of SoFi Stadium in Los Angeles. Immediately, NBC Sports released an apology on Twitter, which read, quote, "We incorrectly showed Mickey Guyton and misidentified her before showing Aiko's performance. We apologize to both artists for the error."
Number 9, Adam Levine. The Maroon 5 frontman was heavily criticized for his performance at the 2019 Super Bowl halftime show. It was a highly controversial year, as the NFL came under fire for their treatment of Colin Kaepernick, the former 49ers quarterback who was blackballed for kneeling in protest of police brutality. Artists like Rihanna and Cardi B all declined to perform in support of him. But Adam Levine took the job, despite the fact that 100,000 Maroon 5 fans signed a petition urging the band to drop out. In the end, it was a disaster. Not only was his performance considered to be super boring, but viewers were also upset with his lack of clothing. The singer's shirtless chest was front and center during the show, and this angered a lot of fans who compared it to Janet Jackson's infamous Nipplegate and the double standard there. Adam ripped off his shirt shortly into Maroon 5's set, exposing his tattoo-covered chest and of course his nipples. This move left viewers outraged, and people were quick to point out how hypocritical his shirtless performance was after Janet faced severe backlash and punishment for the same thing. Number 8, the Black Eyed Peas. Booking the band for 2011's Super Bowl halftime show might have seemed like a great idea in theory, considering their reputation as a high-energy pop group with nationwide mainstream popularity and a boatload of hits. Unfortunately, several fundamental issues became immediately clear when they started performing. The Peas were surrounded by dancers flailing around in light-up morph suits, and they also wore the same thing. They did their version of "I've had the time of my life," and the whole time Usher looked like he wanted to be somewhere else. Aside from the horrible costumes, the performance confirmed the long-running rumors about the group's inability to perform live. They revealed themselves to be a woefully inadequate live act for a halftime show, particularly considering that most of the singing was handled by Fergie, who certainly isn't known to be the strongest live vocalist. In fact, sports fans were reminded of this during her misguided performance of the national anthem at the NBA's 2018 All-Star Game. Number 7, Katy Perry. The singer was once the most successful pop artist in the early 2010s, almost as soon as her tunes hit the airwaves, but it seems like her career really started to take a turn in the middle of the decade, and her controversial Super Bowl performance didn't help her cause at all. Katy performed many of her most popular songs, but people got hung up on the cheesy set pieces like the giant dancing sharks. In fact, this is what turned her show into a literal meme. At the end of her rendition of Teenage Dream, right before the transition into California Girls, disaster struck. But it wasn't really Katy's fault, it actually had everything to do with a mistake made by one of her backup dancers, who was wearing one of the shark costumes. The dancer on the left appeared to forget the choreography during the song, and the slip-up went viral. At the beginning of the song, the two sharks were dancing lockstep with one another, but as the number went on, the left shark appeared to increasingly lose track of where he was in the dance. In an effort to get back on track, he was flailing around, which was hilarious. The show remains the most viewed halftime show in the game's history, so people were entranced by the performance, both in a positive and in a negative way. Number 6, Justin Timberlake. The singer gave a jumbled and downright messy performance at his Super Bowl halftime show in 2018. It seemed like everything was going wrong, and of course his choice of wardrobe was questionable. Justin was decked out in a camo suit with clashing prints, complete with an orange bandana. The set was also plagued by some strange sound mixing and editing, and in the first segment of the performance, his vocals were getting drowned out by the instrumentation. Many people thought he would reunite NSYNC or bring out Janet Jackson, but instead he performed with a projection of the late singer Prince and sang a medley of his old hits. After the performance, critics immediately weighed in on the show, with the reviews ranging from mediocre to absolute disgust. Forbes' Brian Rowley wrote, "Justin Timberlake's Super Bowl halftime show performance should have afforded him the opportunity to remind the world why he's remained a pop cultural juggernaut for 2 decades. Instead, the singer delivered a lifeless, by-numbers performance that largely eschewed his new album in favor of his widely beloved back catalog." Now that review was pretty harsh, but it's actually in line with what a lot of people thought. Number 5, Shakira and J-Lo. The 2020 Super Bowl halftime show was interesting to say the least, and it was a big night considering that 2 musical icons were sharing the stage, but it turns out that J-Lo wasn't a big fan of giving up the spotlight. In her recently released documentary called Halftime, she labeled it as the worst idea in the world. She said, "If it was going to be a double headliner, they should have given us 20 minutes. That's what they should have effing done." Basically, it turns out that Jennifer was frustrated with the NFL for booking 2 headliners and making them share the same amount of time that any solo performer would receive, as opposed to doubling it and giving the women extra time to shine. As a result, fans slammed the artist for coming off as entitled. While it's true that they only gave the performers 6 minutes each, the action-packed show garnered immense praise from fans across the globe, with many fans commending the women for showcasing their Latin heritage so brilliantly. What J-Lo was really mad about though is that previous solo headliners like Beyonce and The Weeknd received 14 minutes to perform, but judging by her complaints, it's clear that she feels so offended that they asked her to share the stage at all. Number 4, Phil Collins. The Disney-produced Stadium Spectacular was well-meaning, but it was very confusing. Over 2 minutes was wasted with overblown orchestral parts and matching puppets. Christina Aguilera and Enrique Iglesias performed well, but then Phil Collins turned up and looked and sounded badly out of place. Most people thought it was a terrible decision not to let them sing any of their own hits. This very 2000s wild spectacle of a performance is an example of everything that was wrong with the way the Super Bowl used to do its mid-game performances. The Disney production was intended to be a dazzling spectacle of global unity, but in the end it turned out to be an incomprehensible mess. The show was criticized for having ugly set pieces, dancers in vague costumes that were supposed to represent different countries around the globe, and singers like Phil Collins singing original songs especially written for the show, so basically no one could even sing along with them. But the most bizarre part of the show came when actor Edward James Olmos delivered a deadly serious narration to the camera, saying things like, "Go now and celebrate your dreams as the magic of the millennium continues to bring us together." Number 3, Elvis Presto. The 1989 Super Bowl halftime show for the game between the Cincinnati Bengals and San Francisco 49ers ended up being one of the most unusual halftime show performances of all time. NBC debuted a 3D TV presentation for the show that was headlined by an Elvis impersonator called Elvis Presto, and it was a whole mess. The show featured the world's largest card trick, where 4 playing cards were on the field. During the show, Elvis Presto asked the audience to pick from 4 cards by clapping their hands. Hilariously, next to no one in the audience clapped, and the several cutaways to the genuinely disinterested crowd helped cement this halftime show as a dark chapter of American history. According to an NFL Films documentary, Alex Cole, the man who portrayed Presto, got the job 3 days before the game after the previous actor quit the show to do a Lee Jeans commercial. Cole said that he didn't perform again on stage after that Super Bowl. In fact, the NFL is so embarrassed by the Elvis Presto disaster, they've blocked sharing YouTube videos of the event onto other websites. Number 2, New Kids on the Block. The Boston-based group was one of the many fresh-faced bands to burst into the pop culture scene at the turn of the decade. They were rewarded for their popularity with a spot at the Super Bowl 25 halftime show, but this turned out to be a horrible idea, mainly because the group was forced to perform their incredibly juvenile hit song called This One's for the Children, which does the opposite of setting the mood for the big game. Disney handled production, and the New Kids on the Block were surrounded by giant cartoon characters. To make matters worse, the song then segued into a Disney kiddie choir. This performance went down as one of the worst halftime shows of all time. In fact, it wasn't even aired until after the game, because ABC used the halftime slot to give a news update on Operation Desert Storm in the Persian Gulf. So if anything, that should tell you all you need to know about how this performance turned out. And coming in at number 1, Disney's Indiana Jones. The 1995 performance will forever live in infamy as one of the worst things the NFL has ever seen. This show is perhaps one of the most criticized in all of Super Bowl history, and it's for a good reason. At the time, Disney decided it would be a great idea to whip up a shameless marketing gimmick with Indiana Jones songs, all to promote a new theme park ride. The show was just a spectacle of sets and characters from the film series, but it was a complete disaster. This included impersonators for Indy and Marion, which did not exactly work out well. If that wasn't enough, someone thought it would be a good idea to bring out Patti LaBelle, Tony Bennett, and Teddy Pendergrass after the spectacle to sing Can You Feel the Love Tonight. In a year of high-profile disasters, this one was way up there. To be fair, TV viewers all across America were warned when the announcer said in the beginning of the show, "Hold on, I've got a bad feeling about this."